Hey everybody, welcome to another Terrainify tutorial. Today we're going to learn how to paint modular spires in the Fields of Battle theme. The full list of paint colors and materials used is in the description. Okay, let's get started. First step will be to base coat the entire piece in black. I've already gone ahead and completed that step. Paint is fully dry and we can move on to the second step. So our second step is overbrushing. We're going to be using a nice dark brown dirt color for this. Now, overbrushing is very similar to dry brushing, but we'll actually be using a slightly damp brush while still removing the excess paint from the brush exactly like we would when we're dry brushing. Now, using a back and forth motion with your wrist, apply the paint. You'll know you're doing it correctly if it leaves a heavy deposit of paint on the raised surfaces and details, but doesn't get into too much of the recessed areas. If it goes on too heavily, remove more paint from the brush, then come back and continue to work the same area to spread out and thin the excess paint. Paint the entire tile. Let it dry before going on to the next step. So next we're going to be dry brushing stone. And this time, just dry brushing. So we're going to be using two colors for this, a medium gray and a light gray. We'll start with a medium gray. Now, there's going to be some gray paints that end up going where we don't want it to, and that's okay. Just focus on dry brushing the stones and be careful not to get too much gray paint where you don't want it. And anywhere we don't want it, it's going to be the flat areas, which are going to be more of our ground. You may find it helpful to use a smaller brush and to paint more with the flat side of the brush than the tip. Rotating the piece and painting from a top angle also helps. Dry brush the stones with the medium gray color, followed by the light gray color, allowing a little time to dry between layers if necessary. Next, we're going to dry brush the flat areas, or the dirt. So our dirt is going to be any of the flat areas that aren't the raised modular spires. We're going to dry brush using a medium brown, followed by a light brown or tan. And as you dry brush the areas between the stones, you will inevitably get paint on the stones as well, and that's actually okay. This is our dirt layer. Dirt blows around, so it's fine if it lands in the lower stone area. It's also going to help cover up any of the gray that you got on our flat area or our dirt layer. So dry brush the flat areas with the medium brown, then following up with the lighter brown or the tan. If necessary, you might want to let the paint dry in between layers before going on to the next step. And again, if you have too much paint in areas or you're not happy with it, we're going to fix it in this last step. The tile already looks pretty fantastic. We're just going to finish it by giving it a nice contrast between the dirt and the stones. Which brings us to our final step, the flockening. Adding some flock will give it a little more color and visual interest. We can also use this step to fix up our spots on our flat dirt areas that may have gotten too much paint. So normally to add flock, we would first apply white glue to the surface, add the flock, then seal it. But here we're actually going to be doing reverse flocking. So we'll actually spray the tile with a thin sealer, then sprinkle on the flock. You'll want to wet the entire tile, but you don't need to spray it so much that the sealer is just soaking the tile. Sprinkle the flock in random spots and amounts. Make sure to go to the edge of the tile in spots. I prefer to do a small amount over the entire piece, then add to random spots to give it a slow buildup. It's easy to add more flock, not so much to remove it. And any spots that you weren't happy with the paint, flock it. Flock will blend out those oopsies for you. Once you're satisfied with how the flock looks, give it another light spray with a thin sealer. Some of the flock might get pushed around by the spray and should be fairly minimal, if anything. Now set your piece aside to dry, and the tile's finished. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And check out Terrainify.com to find all of our tiles and models. Thanks for watching.